The first thing you'll learn stepping foot on the surface is to avoid these guys. They're called leapers, and while they may seem like a close range enemy, do not shoot them no matter where you are.
Is that you shooting, Abner?
Yeah, I just shot the spider. Is this thing really Yo!
What just happened?
Yo! What the
What?
You don't understand! Okay, do not shoot those things.
Yes, they are called leapers for a reason, and while it may seem like common sense to avoid them, it's always best to extract at the elevators and actually get out with the loot. But what happens if you get down right next to one? Well, the developers actually added a feature that lets you crawl up to the lever, and yes, you can even extract while knocked.
Nice.
One of the most powerful enemies in the entire game is basically undefeatable. This is the Queen, an Ark who watches over a machine called the Harvester. She defends this with her life, and if you want perspective on just how much health she has, in 30 million raids across the whole server slam, only 77 people managed to kill the Queen. So the reason I'm telling you this is because most people think it's basically impossible to get to the Harvester, but that's not the case. You actually don't need a fighter to get the insane loot inside of this thing. She patrols the area, and if you avoid her gaze, you can sneak up to the ship. Just be careful, because every few minutes it blasts fire out the door, so you need to time your entry perfectly. Once you're inside, you now need to break open these hatches, and then put the canisters inside of the terminal. When this is done, now you gotta break the yellow bolts on the walls, doing all of it while avoiding the fire and lightning. Once all the steps are complete, you can now search the center console for some insane loot, and more often than not, it's legendary weapon blueprints, and I'll show you just how good these weapons are later in the video. But for now, I seriously gotta recommend entering nighttime raids. They're pretty uncommon, but so worth the extra difficulty. Not only do you get a completely different atmosphere, but Arks actually have increased spawns and patrol more at night. That means the loot in these raids are significantly better, but obviously much harder to get. Once you fill up your inventory, you're probably gonna find yourself over encumbered, but here's another pro tip. The best way to solve that problem without ditching your valuables is by salvaging. If you right click these things and break them down into smaller components, they don't weigh as much. And all of these components can be used in crafting and upgrading your benches. By now, most people know the best way to get guaranteed loot without losing your best weapons is a free loadout. It's essential to getting started, but you could actually use these to snowball even further. Once you extract, head to the clinic, and you could actually turn in your extra free loadouts for upgraded augments like combat, looting, or tactical. And when you eventually level up these augments, they give you extra bonuses like Combat Mark 3 that gives 2 health every 5 seconds, or Looting Mark 2, and this throws off spiders automatically. The coolest one though is the Tactical Mark 2, which will throw down a smoke grenade whenever your shield is broken. And that's not the only way to upgrade your gameplay, because you need to know the zipline trick. If you take a leap of faith on one of these, at the last second, you could just attach to the line and you'll avoid fall damage and get down so much faster.
There you go.
And as always, never underestimate the power of the skill tree. This is probably the single best way to get an advantage because it can give you all kinds of abilities. Whether it's revealing loot faster, or breaching open doors with less sound, or massively increasing your stamina. There's a ton here that you have to pay attention to. One of my favorite early game skills is the ability to craft meds mid-game. With just 6 points invested into your survival tree, you can unlock that ability, meaning you'll be able to create healing items, grenades, and all kinds of useful stuff. And while you're in the menu, keep an eye out for an item you could buy known as the Recorder. It's exactly what it says in the name, and yes, it's a real item that you can take up to the surface and use in the funniest way possible. So you might be wondering, what's the point of this? And while it might seem like just a funny item, if you check its description, it reveals this is used to attract Ark's attention and oppress other raiders. Obviously, the last part is a joke, but the fact that you could use this to lure Arks towards you is genius. And if you really want to avoid Arks altogether, use the photoelectric cloak and they'll just never bother you. Now there's a ton of fun items like this which you have to use to level up your gameplay. One is the Jolt Mine because it completely stops enemies in their tracks, making them super easy to kill. And that's not all, because you could also throw a door blocker into your quick use slots and then close off an entryway to prevent enemies from flanking you or just taking you by surprise. Right now, it's one of the best items in the game for when you're pinned down or need time to heal up. And speaking of healing up, the Vita Spray and Vita Shot are the fastest ways to get health. But what's even cooler is the Smoke Grenade. There are 2 versions of this, one is a smaller cloud, but both of them are incredible for fully covering an area. Like, it's one of the few smoke grenades in games that are actually worth it. I gotta mention the zip lines again, because having one of these in your quick use slot is gonna be game changing for maps where you need to get down from a height quickly. always use something like this instead of the side elevators, which are the slowest things ever. In fact, zip lines don't just go down, you could also ride up a zip line no matter how steep it is, so these are also great for getting onto rooftops without going inside a building. I will say, in late game, I recommend using the snapshot. Yeah, it is easily one of the best items to flank an enemy from above or just catch up with your teammates.
Wait, someone stay still. Someone stay still. You ready? Hey! Yo, no way you can grapple on players. That's sick.
By far, one of the most underrated secret tricks are these things, arc power cells, which most people just grab and then don't think about. That's because these aren't just materials you could craft with, they're secret consumables. Did you know if you add the power cell to your quick use slot, you could use it as a shield recharger? So next time you're low on health, just shoot some nearby arcs and collect these for easy shields. One of the craziest things in the server slam was players jumping off the roof of the control tower and landing on a ledge. In turn, you could loot one of the best locked rooms in the map, but just so you know, it's been patched. Well, it turns out this actually created the most underrated tip in the game. No matter what distance you fall from, you could always block fall damage by spam jumping and then just vaulting on any nearby ledge. What if you're someone who avoids aggroing enemies? Well, let me make your fights 10 times easier with a single trick. Instead of just shooting at them and hoping you don't die before they fall down, have patience. By taking it slow and letting them lock onto you, you could actually dodge attacks when the light goes red and then just avoid all the trouble. You'll also find that flying arcs go down super easily if you aim for their propellers instead of their guns or lights. As for the rolling bots, you can just melee these guys instead of wasting ammo because their explosion doesn't really do all that much damage. Personally though, I like to take down drones with one of the coolest secret methods in the game.
Yeah, boy.
And next time you find a good shield during a raid, don't rush to equip it. You're gonna want to make sure that you're in a safe area because these actually take a while to charge up and can leave you vulnerable. Obviously, the best loot in the game could only be found through better skills or items, like having a keycard for a locked area or investing 36 skill points into conditioning so you can get the security breach ability. But you can still easily get great loot without either of those things simply by looking out for weapon crates. Sure, most of these are behind locked doors, but there are actually quite a few of them scattered around in red zones across the map, but be warned, they don't always spawn in the same place. Now let's talk about key cards. If you simply read the description of the key, it'll tell you the map it's used on and the name of the room. But here's where you need to pay attention. You could actually ping the key and it'll show you the area it affects. Like if you have a hatch you need to extract through, it'll just point where to go. And there are a ton of players that have no idea about hidden caches. These are secret raider stashes on the map that you'll only find if you carefully listen for a ticking sound. These red signs will also help you locate them, and once broken into, you can find guns, ammo, meds, or even better armor. For all the people brand new to the game, there's a simple trick that'll show you where any nearby enemy is hiding. Look out for flares shooting into the sky. Most noobs would think these are people shooting them, but it's actually a signal for a player that just got knocked. This means you can instantly see where any nearby fights are going down and either rush in for a third party or simply avoid the area. You also gotta watch out for how you might reveal your own location. There are tons of secret alarms and motion sensors throughout the game, which alerts nearby arcs and players to your area. The most obvious one is the security cameras, which are scattered throughout every main building, and these will immediately dispatch arcs like robots to your area. I recommend shooting these before they spot you. And that's not the only way you'll get caught. Even when outside, if you get too close to a car, you'll set off its alarm. But did you know if you hit the car in the right spot with a pickaxe, it'll disable the siren? There's also a handful of doors that have metal detectors, and these can't be disabled until you've walked through them or entered through a different floor. Once you're inside, simply destroy the panel, but at that point, it might be too late. If you do find yourself in a very bad situation, whether you're surrounded by raiders or arcs, you could actually avoid losing your most precious item. As long as you're not running a free loadout, you'll get a safe pocket slot that gives you insurance just in case you die. Also, in case it needs to be said, do not trust other players. Even if you think they're gonna be your friend, you should always watch out just in case they surprise attack you.
Oh, he's chill like that, bro. He's chill like that. That's all right.
Yoink.
He's not chill like that! He's not chill like that!
And while you're in your inventory, make sure to pay attention to these small item icons in the bottom left. They're actually super useful as they tell you what each item does at a glance, so no more rushing to read descriptions. It helps you distinguish between healing consumables, crafting materials, trinkets, and more. And speaking of trinkets, if you're looking for the most valuable items to sell right now, well, there are a few mixtapes scattered all over the game, and if you find them in the wild, do not hold on to them. These are worth 10k each, but that's nothing compared to what's next. As you probably expected from hearing about how difficult the Queen boss fight is, there's gotta be some kind of reward for killing her. Well, pleased to say there is, and it's worth a ton of money, which is the legendary Queen Reactor. You can either use this as a material when crafting one of the best guns in the game, which is the Equalizer, or sell it for 34,000 coins. Another trick to help you through your playthrough is simply putting your weapons away. For example, pressing H will put your weapons away and make you run way faster without using extra stamina. Like when getting from point A to point B, you basically have to do it unarmed or else you'll be wasting so much time. You'll also waste it by not coordinating with your teammates. Like heading up a zipline can become so embarrassing if you do this.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
Stamina is also extremely important to maintain in Arc Raiders, and that's why it will always help you to know that it regenerates while you're sliding. So when you head down a slope on your last piece of stamina, it'll actually regenerate while still moving incredibly fast. Good luck on the surface, and thank you again to Embark Studios for sponsoring this video. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on T5G.